Hello adventurers, Cheapari here. Today we're going to be playing Jumanji Wild Adventures on the Nintendo Switch. And actually, I believe this is the fourth Jumanji game on Nintendo Switch. The first one was a third-person shooter, and then you had two mobile games that were ported over to the Nintendo Switch. And this is the fourth, specifically Wild Adventures. This is a third-person arcade brawler that I actually picked up for the main reason of just being able to have an arcade-style game that has Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as a playable character, and plus something that I can enjoy with my friends and family and just having a very quick, arcade, easy, fun game to play. But unfortunately, even my most loftiest expectations were failed here, as this game pretty much sucks in every conceivable way.
Hey guys, this is Rock, and I just got a chance to play the new game. This game is awesome. This game is electrifying. This game is kicking ass and taking names.
Sure it is, Rock. This game sucks. So, unfortunately, this game is coming from Outright Games. And for the most part, Outright Games does something that many game companies have moved away from, which is these low-rent, licensed games, spending a majority of their money, of the budget, on the license itself, and then very little on the gameplay itself. So essentially, Outright Games does very budget-conscious games that are based on licenses for movies, TV shows, and cartoons, and they're really steered more towards kids. But even so, having played some of Outright Games' previous games, there's some quality there. There's the Justice League Cosmic Chaos game, which is a fun game and has some nice cartoon cinematics. So I was looking forward to playing this game and at least getting some decent experience and some decent fun out of it. But again, unfortunately, this is probably a prime example where Outright Games made a very sloppy entry. And unfortunately, this company, Outright Games, is also going to be responsible for the upcoming Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem game scheduled for release in 2024. So I don't have high hopes there, unfortunately, after playing this game. But let's get into what Jumanji offers. So after kind of going over the basics of the storyline, which simulates exactly what happens in the movies, that you've got these four teenagers or young adults absorbed into the Jumanji video game and then play out their adventures in the jungle itself with these proxies that are played by Jack Black, Kevin Hart, The Rock, and Karen Gillan. So after a short tutorial, you're thrust into the main storyline as narrated by Nigel from the movies. So Nigel will explain that Jumanji is under threat by three different groups of people, that being pirates, soldiers, and some wild tribesmen. But in terms of trying to get through the game itself, what you'd hope for is a pretty fun arcade experience of just being able to take out some bad guys, get from point A to point B in a very linear path, and just finish the game in, an hour and a half, but have a good time doing it with friends or family. What occurs over the course of this game is just something that's extremely sloppy, and even for those that are looking for a budget-conscious $19.99, $20 game, you'd expect something more polished. So we have a world map where you can actually choose your different levels, though it doesn't give you many options as to which levels you can choose. So in very many cases, it acts like a mixture of Super Mario Brothers in terms of that world map, mixed in with the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles NES game, in the fact that you can actually drive a car to get to the next stage. And the levels themselves, in terms of the representation on the world map, is kind of that jewel, that circular jewel, very similar to if you're playing the actual board game Jumanji, that you have kind of these jewel pieces on the board where it gives you the different secrets and stuff like that. So pretty nice little touch that connects it back to the original board game. And even so, this is just fine. There's nothing wrong here per se. It's not until you actually get into the levels themselves where the problems start presenting themselves. So the character select screen allows you to choose your favorite characters from the movie, albeit with a faint likeness to the actual actor and sound alikes for the voices. Now you can collect different aesthetic changes to change out the clothes, which usually just amounts to being a color swap, but you can collect these in the levels themselves. Now, unfortunately, each character you may be expecting to play different, with some characters would be faster and some to be slower, like Mouse Finbar, but unfortunately, every character plays identical for the exception of the animations being different. So all characters play the same, but I did want to point out for essentially parents wanting to play this with their kids that Ruby Roundhouse actually swears every time she does an action of any sort. So if you're looking to actually have your daughter play as Ruby Roundhouse,
Hell yeah!
she'll say that every single time she does an attack. The graphics are extremely basic. In many cases, at least for the Nintendo Switch, some of the textures are just so bland and drab that it looks like you're playing a very early PS2 game, and even in some cases, it feels like a PS1 game. Now, you're not really playing this to have top-notch graphics, but in terms of the level design also takes a hit because there are certain sections of the game that it just feels like they stopped copying and pasting, and then there's kind of like you can see the actual end of the level, or at least the end of kind of the background itself, where they just stopped programming, stopped coding, and you can see it's just a vast nothingness. It's just very sloppy that I haven't seen in any games, especially one that should have at least a moderate level of polish. Even with the low-res graphics, as you'll see from this gameplay, the game will actually stutter at times, so even the frame rate isn't that great. And as you can see here, the enemies, no matter what, and it's just something that happens every single time I play, the enemies in some cases will freeze, so you can't attack them and they can't attack you. So even if you're trying to, with some of the challenges they offer you for being able to complete an objective for the level, one of those objectives is to kind of eliminate all enemies in that level, which is something you can never do because the enemies freeze up every single time you play. And to make matters worse, if you're playing on the easy mode, there are a lot less enemies than you'd have in normal or the harder modes. So it's going to be a case of where if you're playing on easy, it's going to be a very bland landscape with no challenges besides some of these obstacles that you see here, these traps. But there's going to be very few enemies, and those enemies that you do encounter are going to freeze up and not even attack you. Things don't get much better in normal or hard mode. There's still a very kind of light sprinkling of enemies, and there should be a lot more challenges. There should be a lot more enemies that attack you than what you see here. The game offers 2 to 4 player co-op, but especially given the fact of the lack of enemies, the lack of enemy diversity, you'll be fighting the same characters over and over again for many levels. Your family, your friends might just get bored of playing it all together. So unfortunately, while it has co-op, and really the meat of this is being able to play in co-op, there's just not enough content there to keep you interested. This is not something that's as fun, even for the same budget level. Again, this retails on sale for about $19.99, $20, either physical copy, in some cases digital as well. But there are other offerings on the Nintendo Switch that provide you a lot more fun, that is arcade, that is very easy to play, like Double Dragon, Scott Pilgrim. So for even those that really love The Rock and really love this movie, Jumanji, or this franchise like me, this game just doesn't even make the basic needs of just being basic fun. It's just not fun at all. Bosses and some of these sub-level enemies just take a couple of hits to kill, so there's not even any type of strategy or tactics involved. Whether you're playing on easy, normal, or hard, it's just going to be fodder for you to get past. So nothing challenging there. And once again, as you can see here, the monkeys froze up again, so I can't even fight those enemies and just keep on going. I've gotten stuck in rocks. I've gotten stuck behind pillars where the game just doesn't allow me to move out of this invisible barrier. So I'm just kind of stuck there and have to restart the game because there's game-ending glitch that the programmers just didn't account for. So a lot of frustrations even to just be able to finish the game on easy. Now, in terms of other things that are offered by the game, there are these unlockables that you can upgrade your character's kind of special armor, or you can get some upgradable weapons. And there's further unlockables by collecting all the Jumanji letters that are spelled out throughout each level. Unfortunately, I just didn't care enough to kind of collect all those letters because the game itself was not very exciting. Here's some gameplay here showing that the game led me to this section where I just got stuck and couldn't move out of the spot. So it kept on respawning me at the edge of the ship and behind these pillars here, and I just couldn't move out of it. I just kept on dying whenever I tried to jump out of it. So again, a game-ending glitch, and they happen quite often, and you just have to restart the game over and over when you hit these game-ending glitches. There are also these boxes that are almost like a slot machine where it rotates between a series of available options like swords or shields or other weapons that you can hold on to until you're hit, but they don't really give you any advantage besides what you have basically just do your basic combo or just jump on the enemy. There's no challenge here. There's no advantage of getting any of these weapons. So not much else to talk about, guys. This game is a huge pass. If you like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and you want to play him in a video game, I'd recommend picking up one of the WWE 2K games. And if you want to play Jumanji, buy the board game. That does it for me, guys. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.